So, where we left off, the merocrine gland. Mer means unit, and so you've heard of maybe a polymer, many units, or maybe a monomer with 1 unit, a dimer with 2 units. Okay, so what does this mean? We're going to be putting out units of sweat. You see, each of these cells is going to put out some sweat, and it's going to go up. Got it? But the cells are intact. All right? Let's look at the next one. This is the apocrine. Apo means the top. Apo means the top. And we've already seen the apocrine gland. I'll move this. Remember, this big dude in the middle here, in the urogenital and axillary regions. So, guess what these cells do? They break the tops off of their cells. The whole top breaks off. Okay? And those big pieces go all the way out. And what do those tops contain? Proteins.
Lipids.
And the lipids that our bacteria buddies are saying, thank you very much, and they fart out some nice smelly things. Okay? Cool beans? All right. Now, the last type is called the holocrine gland. So what do we crine? What do we send out?
The whole
cell. See, holo means the whole thing. And what happens is the whole cell breaks up. The whole cell breaks up and goes up. Okay? Now, this is what you need to know for your test. Who's the example of the merocrine gland? And that is your eccrine sweat glands. Your typical sweat glands. Okay? Eccrine sweat glands. The little white ones on the tube. The little white ones, right? Got it? Okay. Of course, we know who the apocrine glands are. They are the apocrine glands. Got it? They don't change. Their name is named for the kind that they are. Okay? The holocrines are your sebaceous gland. Those are your sebaceous glands, which, if we look over our plastic model again, are these gray ones attached to the hair follicles. Okay? All right. So, different kinds. Everybody good? All right.
Can I bother you with one quick
Go
question?
for it.
So with the apocrine glands and why those release the proteins and lipids when they break up, which bacteria eat, which makes it smelly. With sebaceous glands, since the whole cell is breaking up, do those...
Why isn't that getting eaten? It probably is, but it might be a different configuration that the bacteria don't eat and turn into farts.
I gotcha, okay.
Yeah. Because that's why, you don't... Your scalp doesn't stink, but it does eventually get stinky, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of scalp, not that you're going to do it for this test, but in 210, ever heard of a baby having cradle cap? Yeah, guess what that is? That's dried sebaceous gland oils on top of their head because they're overproducing sebum. Okay? All right. All right. Oh, what's acne?
I guess that
Yeah. Acne is the sebaceous glands at the root of every one of your hair shafts that is breaking up. But instead of breaking up, it got plugged up, and the bacteria inside are having a good meal. And as they eat it, that's all the pus. Got it? That comes out. 10-4? And that's why it looks red. And people say, well, it's only where the hair is. Why do I have acne here? Because you actually have hair here. But the hair is so small, you can't see it. And in 210, you're going to find out that those hairs are called
Villus.
vellus. hair, from which you can't see, which is leading to another word that you might have heard of when somebody gets married. What does the female wear over her? You can still see through it. A veil. Got it? That's exactly what that means. Okay? All right. Let's go over here to the board, to the thing. Okay, see, there's your stratums and all kinds of. Oh, look at this. Keratinocytes. Okay? Our cells are called keratinocytes. Why? Because they are full of keratin. Now, what is keratin? Keratin is just like we said corneum. Keros also means horny, like in a horn, okay? Now, we want this extra keratin, ends in IN, must be a protein. This keratin is meant to be tough. It's on the surface of our skin. It better be the toughest part that we've got, okay? Keros can sometimes be written with a C. Seros, okay? Now, have you ever seen this word before?
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros. What does that mean? Horn on the nose. That's exactly what it means. Okay? In fact, in Dutch, because I'm from Dutch ancestry, we don't call them rhinoceros. It's called a neushoorn. It's called a nose horn. Because that's what they look like. Nose horn. Make sense? All right. So.
Where does the cells begin to get keratinized?
Oh, as they go up, as they move up. See, there's your protein.
From keratin. Just starts at the base.
Yeah. See, as the basal cells divide, the older ones pick up more and more keratin.
Okay.
So if I picking them up here, got it?
Sure.
Yeah, the older ones pick it up, and of course they due to an accumulation of a fibrous protein called keratin. So that means these dead ones here, the lucidum and corneum, are full of keratin. Got it? For extra added protection against debris. Okay? And that process is called keratinization. Okay. All right. See, there's all your different layers we talked about in the other video. You see how this dermis and the epidermis look different. And you see how we have these up and down areas here, these dermal ridges. Okay? Epidermis up here with the stratum corneum dead on the top, and this is all loose connective tissue dermis. What are all these bulges here? They're called dermal papilla. Papilla means fingers. If you look at the plastic model here, can you see these sticking up?
Mm-hmm.
And you see how this goes up and down, the pink part? Okay? Mm-hmm. Your dermis goes up and down to create your fingerprints. This is where your fingerprints are made, in the dermis. And the epidermis just follows it. Okay? That's why you can't file down your fingerprints, because your dermis underneath is still growing them. 10-4? All right. Okay, melanocytes. Gee, cells full of what?
Melanin.
Melanin. And again, IN must be a protein. The more melanocytes, the darker your skin. The less melanocytes, the lighter your skin. Okay? What do I call skin that is completely missing melanocytes? Starts with al and ends with bino. Albino, yeah. Mm-hmm. Albino doesn't have any melanocytes. That's why it doesn't matter if they're in the sun or not, they are white. Okay? In fact, they're so lacking melanocytes, they're, instead of colored iris,
red.
It looks red, but not red because the iris is red. You see the blood vessels in the back of the eye going through the clear cornea. Got it? Okay. So, and the melanocytes are down here where we have our basophils. Alrighty? And one of the things we need to understand, and you get to this in 210 class, is that the worst kind of skin cancer is melanoma. Because the melanocytes are so down deep here, by the time they multiply and grow to the surface, they've already grown that far down. And the trouble with melanoma, when it goes down and gets into your blood vessels, pieces will break off. And wherever those melanoma tumor cells end up, you're going to grow another tumor. And what do we call the magic word for a cancer tumor spreading? None? Metastasis, or to metastasize. Okay? And those are the worst kinds that can metastasize. Apparently the basal cell carcinomas can be cut out. They don't metastasize. Okay? But not this. Okay? And these metastasize, let's make sure we understand what the word metastasis means. Stasis means to stay put. Meta means beyond. So metastasis means I'm moving beyond staying put. And another place we're going to learn about in a couple of slides, a couple of chapters, is these are your carpal bones. But what are these bones? Metacarpal.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Beyond the carpals.
Mm-hmm.
Got it? And then your foot, your ankles are your tarsals, and the middle of your foot is the metatarsals, because meta always means beyond. Okay? All right. See, we all have about the same number of melanocytes, but it all depends on how dark they get. Okay, G, what color are you if you have cyanosis?
Red.
Blue. Cyan is blue.
Yeah.
So that might be because of a lack of oxygen. I'm turning blue. Got it? Your lips turn blue, your fingers turn blue. All right. Appear bluish. All right. How about if you look kind of yellow or orange? Because you're eating too many carrots. There was a case where a young couple was upset, flipped out because their baby was all orange. Took him to the pediatrician. The pediatrician asked them, well, what are you feeding this baby? Well, all the baby wants to do is eat, stewed carrots or whatever, in those little jars. He says, do you ever give him any peas? And I said, no, he won't eat that. He'll just eat carrots. Because that's why he's orange. Because that's all you're feeding him. Okay. What happens if you're jaundiced? What color are you? Yellow. And that is probably a liver problem, because your liver's job is to take bilirubin out of the blood. And when your bilirubin builds up in your blood, your skin and your eyeballs look yellow. Okay? All right. See, there's a dermal papilla, the ridges that form your fingerprints. See? All right. Now, nails are keratinized too. That's why they're tough. And, no big deal. I think this is a cool name. Lanula. That's that little half moon that some people have. Well, that's why it's called lanula. It reminds somebody of a half moon. Okay? All right. We talked about the follicle. The shaft is what comes out. The root is down in the bottom where the bulb is. See? That's the bulb. Okay. And we'll do more in 210 than we're doing here. Look at that. Isn't that cool? This shows you a hair shaft emerging from somebody's scalp. All right? Okay, now. Oh, look at these cool names. The darker your hair, the more melanin you have, true melanin, and the more blonde you are, the more pheomelanin you have. And the same thing is true for your lips. Your lips are not the color of your face. Got it? They're a little more pinkish, a little more reddish, because it's made with pheomelanin. All right? There you go. You got the erector pili muscles there. Okay, your regular sweat glands are sometimes called sudoriferous, but those are also known as your eccrine glands. And again, all of these guys that send stuff to the outside of your body, they do exocytosis, and that's why they're called exocrine glands. All right. Let's have some sebaceous glands here. What are these? These are your earwax. Why do we have earwax?
To keep things from
crawling into your ears. Yeah, because it's sticky. A little bug doesn't want to get stuck in there. 10-4? Okay. Although the old saying, there's a critter called the earwig that loves the taste of earwax, and it'll eat. And if it can't turn around and go out, it keeps eating into your brain. Isn't that fun?
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Okay, and yes, mammary glands are a modified sweat gland. Okay? All right, functions of the skin. Protection, homeostasis. What do you mean homeostasis? Well, if it keeps the inside in and the outside out, that's definitely one thing. But your skin has blood vessels. Got it? Well, guess what? If you're very hot, we send more of that hot blood here so it can be radiated off of your skin. We also have sweat glands so we can sweat and cool our bodies down. Got it? What if it's a very cold day? Well, what does your skin do? Bring all the blood down to keep your brain and your heart and your other organs warm. That's why your fingers feel cold on a cold day. We've shunted the blood away from there. So that's what it does. Don't forget, your skin produces vitamin D as long as you're in the sunshine for 30 to 40 minutes a day. What happened when we went from a farming, an agrarian society, to a working in the office or in the factory society? People's bones got more and more brittle, even though they were drinking their milk, and eating their cereals and milk in the morning. Because what do you need to make sure you absorb the calcium? Vitamin D. And if you're not making it, the FDA said to milk producers, you have to put vitamin D in the milk. That's why on your carton or on your jug of milk it says fortified, which means it's been strengthened with vitamin D. Okay? All right. The temperature regulation, we talk about heat loss. All right. Oh, look at these words. What's too much heat? Hyperthermia. What's too much cold? Hypothermia. Got it? And your skin is going to try to help you with responses to that. All right? Okie dokie. Inflammation. Very, very important. This is when you've been injured. And the first thing your body does, the mast cells in your skin release histamines. And this is what you get. And this is what you need to definitely know. There are 4 what we call cardinal signs of inflammation. Now, what color is a cardinal bird?
Red.
Bright red. And that's why a cardinal sign is a flashing red light, like stop, okay? Because we want you to see this. So the first thing, when we have a cut or something, you have redness, okay? But me, Mr. Weber, I want you to know why is it red? Because all the blood vessels open up. Wherever the histamine is being released because of the damage, blood vessels get bigger. And of course, what are they carrying? Red blood, all right? We also get heat. Well, why is it hotter? Anybody ever had an inflammation and it's kind of cool here, but it's kind of hot there, okay? Why is it hotter? Well, we have more blood. Blood is warm, right? 98.6 degrees. But we also have a lot of metabolic activity. What does that mean? We are trying to kill the bad guys with our white blood cells, but we're also trying to rebuild the damaged cells. So there's a lot of action going on, and activity increases the heat. Then there's swelling, The swelling, what's that caused by? Well, the histamines not only open your blood vessels, they also make your blood vessels more permeable, and they leak out of the walls some fluid. That fluid accumulates. We call that edema, okay? And the fluid leaks out because we don't know what we got attacked by. But if there's some kind of a poison there, let's water it down. Got it? We're going to water down that bee sting or that wasp sting, okay? So that's why it swells. 10-4? Okay, and then of course you get pain. Now, why pain? Because the swelling is pushing against the nociceptors. Let me write that word down here for you. Nociceptor. You see, a photoreceptor picks up light that's in your eyes, okay? And a chemoreceptor picks up chemicals like on your taste buds. But a nociceptor is susceptible to pain. Now, pain caused physically or pain caused chemically? Got it? It's just a pain receptor. In fact, do I even have one of those? Yes, looky here. See this guy here? That looks kind of like a little fork or something like that? That is a nociceptor. That's a pain receptor. These guys here along the surface are your touch receptors. Got it? So you can touch things. And these deep down here, your pacinians, those are your pressure receptors, like somebody grabbed your arm. Cool beans? All right. Yeah, these guys up here are called Meissners. I don't think they're on your lab practical. They will be in your 210, the touch. But the nociceptor I want you to know, all right? And what's the purpose in feeling pain?
Keep you from hurting yourself more.
Yes. It says, take care of this. Got it? Don't let it get worse. All right? Because if it gets worse, you may not be able to stop it. And why did a bad tooth, why was it such a negative thing back in the old days? Because the infection could go into your brain, and then you're dead. So even early on, they knew the best thing to do for a bum tooth was to pull it out. Who were the first dentists that actually pulled teeth?
Barbers.
No.
No? Oh, never mind.
They were the first surgeons because the razor was sharp enough to cut your skin. No. Who had big pliers for pulling the tooth out? Blacksmiths. The blacksmith who put the shoes on your horse was also the guy you went to have your tooth yanked out. No anesthesia, no nothing, you know. Yum, yum. And people say, I want to go back to the old days. Nah, I don't think you do. Alrighty. Now, when we have a cut or something, don't we form a blood clot first? So we stop bleeding. And then we scab it over like a Band-Aid to protect it from any further damage. Okay? That's why you put a Band-Aid on it, you know, especially on your finger or whatnot. Aren't you using your fingers all the time? Well, you might keep breaking open that cut, and it's never going to heal. So you put the bandage on to protect it. Your body does the same thing, all right? Now, have you ever heard of this, a scar? Well, what's a scar? A scar is that the damage was so deep that we are now making, see all these little fibroblasts come in here, and they're creating collagen fibers that kind of weave, zing, 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 weave collagen fibers together in that hole, alrighty? You see, if it's not a very deep or very wide damage, it'll close up with the new skin cells growing towards each other. But if it's a wide gap and the skin cells can't make it, that gap fills up with scar tissue, okay? And the scar tissue are collagen fibers that are released from the dermal region, okay? Now, for some people, they might get stretch marks. Okay, a stretch mark is not damage from the outside in, but from the inside out, where you split the skin from underneath. And then it fills in with, again, collagen fibers. And that's why some of the scar tissues could be white and some could be pink. Got it? Have you ever watched MMA fighters? What have they got? Yeah.
What is it
okay.
called?
So let's take a look what that is. That's a keloid. That's a keloid. It's an ever-enlarging fibrous scar caused by damage to the dermis. Okay? Now, some people get a keloid on their earlobe when they had their ear pierced and they're susceptible to the damage going, we don't like this, says your dermis, and all of a sudden you get this big knot here. And the more you cut it off, the bigger it gets when it grows back. That's a keloid, okay? Acne, we kind of touched on that. That's where the sebaceous glands are invaded by the bacteria and they're eating up all the stuff and then making pus and whatnot happen. Alopecia, cool word. This is your hair falling out in clumps. It's not male pattern baldness, you know, like getting bald in the front or getting bald in the back. This is like a clump just falls out and doesn't grow back. Another clump doesn't grow back. That's alopecia. Okay? Fungus in your feet. Look at the cool name. We already know this. Tinea what? Pedis. Because your pedal region is your foot. Okay? Tinea pedis. Alrighty. You might have heard, I've got plaque psoriasis, those commercials. Alright? That's psoriasis, chronic skin disease. And what a lot of psoriasis is your own white blood cells going cuckoo and attacking your skin. Okay? Probably your T cytotoxic cells, which we'll talk about in later chapters. Alrighty? And that's why for a lot of people, the doctor will give them a monoclonal antibody, which will attack your white blood cells before they can attack your skin. Okay? Unfortunately, guess what the side effect is? Difficulty fighting off a future infection, because if you're suppressing your white blood cells, they're the ones that fight the bad guys. Okay? Let's see other things you might have heard of. Okay, dermatitis. Well, anytime you see itis at the end of any word, that means inflammation. With the 4 parts that we talked about. What color is your skin turning now? Erythema. Red. Got it? Erythrocytes, red blood cells.
Yes, okay.
That's the reddening of your skin because your blood vessels have opened up. Because you're, embarrassed, you turn red, right? Because your blood vessels have opened up. Alrighty? Vitiligo. You've lost your melanocytes completely in patches. Okay? What other things are here? Yeah, we're not going to do a whole lot. Scabies. Okay. All right. Cool. Look at that.
Good.
We're done.